Welcome to Office Centurion. I'm your guide. So, welcome to the end of session 6 of the Council of Trent. We're finally finishing with justification. So I call this section Anathema City. I did not realize how much more anathemas would be in the Council of Trent. I thought this was like the big part because this is the stuff that all the, let's call it well-read Protestant apologists get all upset about, is this part right here. So let's go through the anathemas. Now, here's what I did, because I didn't want what happened when I did my, let's call it review, my response to Mike Winger. I didn't want that to happen here. I switched it to positive statements because they worded, the way the council worded was in the negative. And I took out the word anathema, and instead I used the word wrong and error. So wrong and in error instead of anathema. That's important to understand what it's trying to convey. And the church fathers are very explicit multiple times throughout the Council of Trent that they're not anathemizing in the way that the Protestants seem to think they are. They're not condemning them to hell. They're trying to correct them the way that a parent would a rebellious child. The council severely misunderstands and misreads its relationship to the reformers of the Protestants. So they have a completely, in their mind, a completely different relationship with Luther and Calvin and Zwingli and all of them. And this will come to a head in one chapter from now, when they start making a list of banned books. But that's skipping ahead. Let's stay here. Number 1. Neither works nor law can save on its own natural power. And again, this are the canons. Faith and merit cannot and do not work without grace. If someone says that you have salvation without grace, then they are wrong. And that's going to be based on Romans 5:5. The soul, number 4, canon number 4, the soul is not inanimate nor passive. Free will actively cooperates with God's will in accepting or rejecting grace, God's gifts. Number 5, canon 5, against Calvinism. Man's free will was not lost by Adam, nor is it a term without a reality behind it. Canon 6. Judas acted by free will. Evil is not caused by God. Evil is going against God's will. So the way that the Council of Trent defines evil is going against God's will. Canon 7. If someone says all works and honorable deeds done before justification are actually just more sins, or that these works merit the hatred of God, because the more one strives for grace, the more one sins, because he is wicked and hates God in his heart, they are wrong and mistaken themselves. Canon 8. Acting for the good because of fear of punishment or exile, rejection, is not an act of evil. Canon 9. Faith alone that rejects cooperation is a heresy. Notice, faith alone that rejects cooperation is the heresy. Not faith by itself. Faith without cooperation is the heresy. 10. By the same token, if anyone says that we can be justified or even earn merit without the justice of Christ, he is also in error. Canon 11. Anyone who excludes grace from the equation of justification is wrong. So too, those who exclude charity, as charity is given by the Holy Spirit. Canon 12. Confidence is not the same as faith, and on its own is not enough to save anyone. Canon 13. Doubt is a necessary step in the journey of faith, and not an evil in itself alone. Doubt is not an evil in itself. Canon 14. Faith alone does not absolve sin. Canon 15. Being born again does not change one's predestiny. Canon 16. The Calvinist Reformed understanding of the perseverance of saints is a false doctrine when applied to human mortals still living their faith. Canon 17. Anyone who says that only the elect can receive grace, they are wrong. Canon 18. It is not impossible to follow God's commandments. Canon 19. Those who say we are freed from the 10 Commandments or that we must unhook or unchain ourselves from the so-called Old Testament are wrong. That was Canon 19. Canon 20. Any who say it is enough to read and believe the Bible without following and conforming to what it teaches is wrong and in error. Canon 21. Those who hold to a buddy Christ view or God as an affirmer alone and not judge or legislator with demands and conditions are wrong and in error. Canon 22. Anyone who defies God's aid or his role in one's faith is wrong and mistaken. Canon 23. Each, after one is justified, can still sin or lose his or her grace. And therefore, those whom say that he or she who falls from grace was never truly saved is in error. Canon 24. Good works are not sins, and sins or evil deeds are not good works. Canon 26. If anyone denies that God rewards faith and good works, they are wrong and in error. Canon 27. Unbelief is not the only true mortal sin. Canon 28. Sin does not lose nor remit faith. Canon 29. Anyone who claims that someone cannot be saved if they sin or fall again after baptism, which is after being saved, they are wrong and in error. Canon 30. Anyone who denies the expectance of temporal punishments is wrong and in error. Canon 31. Good works do not balance out the ledger against sin. That is not how Christianity works. Canon 32. Do not deny martyrdom, nor that good deeds increase grace. Canon 33. If anyone denies the glory of God in our good works, he is wrong and goes against the church. And remember, every time that I said wrong or error, I was replacing the word anathema. Makes more sense now, doesn't it? Okay. Reforms, chapter 1. A prelate should reside in his own church. A man of God who takes on a vocation should not abandon his post, but should man his post. And if he refuses, either by laziness or leisure, he should be fined his pay by 1/4 for every 6 months. For every 6 months he does not serve, or be dismissed and defrocked if he will not do his duty where he was stationed. Chapter 2 of the Reforms of Session 6 of the Council of Trent. Temporary leave must be granted by a superior, and if leave must be taken, then a suitable temporary replacement must be made. Chapter 3. No matter the level of personal privilege, absence from one's own residency or post does not exempt a priest or bishop from punishment for his absences if caught. Chapter 4. All priests and bishops are subject to visits and inspections. And chapter 5. No priest, bishop, or functionary can express privilege or authority in another priest's or bishop's place or diocese. That last one, number 5, is real important, especially for the modern church. So a priest or a bishop doesn't have authority in someone else's, in another priest or in another bishop's diocese or parish. So your priest is in charge of you, and your bishop is in charge of you. A bishop from somewhere else cannot tell you what to do. That bishop is answerable to an archbishop. That archbishop is also in charge of you. That archbishop is answerable, I think, to the Council of Cardinals or whatever conference of cardinals that they're in. So that group is then responsible for you in that chain of command. They then go to the papal nuncio. There's a guy who talks from the Pope to these people. Then from them, he's like an ambassador. Then from that, then you have the Pope. Well, actually, you have the magisterium, which is the teaching body of cardinals, which is like the highest rank of the bishops. And then above them, the Pope. And the Pope is answerable to Jesus. Okay? So, Pope has to follow the Bible. Pope has to follow tradition. Pope has to follow Jesus Christ. Pope is the mouthpiece. And then below that are the functionaries. All the way down to your local parish priest. And below the priest, the deacon. Okay, if this series keeps going, the next one will be session 7, which I promise is much shorter and much faster to get through.